Okay. So today, even though security, as I mentioned, it's not our scope, but we should know a little bit background, a little bit knowledge about the security topic here. So why? Because sometimes we may have to, in some organization, in a smaller organization, we may have to, we may have to create the users, reset the password, lock, unlock. So all those things we have to do it here. As a best practices, we have to do it here. We have to follow the some best practices. All those things we have to do that one, right? So here in the in SAP we have the some transaction codes for the to create the users, roles, and authorization objects and all those things we have here. So normally why we need security to protect the data from unauthorized access, right? Same as like in a HANA for everywhere network level, Windows level, OS level, SAP level, everywhere we have the security. Even our mobile device only we have the many security settings are there, right? Fingerprint mechanism, so draw, maybe lines, password, pin, many things are there. So one for SAP systems also we had the security here. So why? Because every user is connecting to the, so if we connect to everyone will connect to the one user. If someone did something, then who is the person responsibility for that one, right? So that's why to follow the company standards, so and also the company compliance, organization policies and everything, then we should have the individual user accounts. We should have the individual user accounts in the system. We should have the individual user accounts in the system. In that case, what we have to do, we need to follow the, we need to create the users based upon their role, based upon means suppose fresher or experienced developer, functional. Based on that, we need to create the so roles here. We need to create the roles and everything we have to create it here. So here, to create the user, the first of all, we should determine the role. We should determine the role. And for that role, we have to assign the authorization object, which one authorizations. So then after that, the role we have to assign to the users. So in the organization, as soon as you build the system, we have to hand over the system to the security team. So the security people, they will do the security related roles creations. They're defining the strategy, all those things they will perform it here. So the role will tell us what activities you need to perform it here, either display access or read access, what access here. The role will tell us what you are, what approvals you have, what is the authorizations, what is the limited access. You will get the limited access here. So here authorizations will assign to the role. The role will you will assign to the user here, right? The first of all, we need to define the role here. Without defining the role, if you create the user, what he can do here? Suppose like I am going to create the one user here that is called the Ravi user. I am going to create here. It's already there, right? In SU01 is the transaction code here. Normally here, so we can, sorry, SU01 is the transaction code here. Here we can create the users here. For security perspective here, SU01 single user creation. Then SU10, it's a mass user creation, bulk users creation. Then PFCG, that is the role creation, right? So then, so SU53 to check the authorization status here, your authorization status, authorization errors or anything, if you can see it here. So these are the very key important transaction codes here. Apart from that, you have the SU22, SU22, SU24 for the finding the finding the right authorization object, right authorization object here, correct authorization object here. So those things are very important here, right? Finding the right authorization object here, right? Let's go to the SU01 transaction code for create the users here. What I can create it here, the demo user I can create it. So demo also demo one. Suppose example demo one. Okay. So just click on the create. Why my demo also exist. Let me create test user. Okay. Click on the create button. Who is this user? Then address field, mandatory fields, we have to fill it here. Any details, mandatory company email ID, then all those things we have to fill it. Mobile number, everything here. You have to fill it these details here. Go to the here. Then here we have the types of users are there here. We have the types of users. The user which you are going to create, what is going to perform? What is the purpose of creating the users here? What is the purpose you are creating the users here? Which means you are creating the user so for logging to the SAP system doing the work, or you are creating the user for background jobs maintenance purpose. What purpose you are going to create service level users? There the types of users are there here. Types of users in the SAP system here. One is the dialog user. The second one is the system user. The third one is the service user. Service user. The fourth one is the reference user. You can see the reference user here. System user, service user. Then fourth one, communication user. Communication user. The fifth one we have called the reference user here. Reference user here. The fifth one we will call it as the reference user here, right? So they are the user types here. You can see it here, user types here. So dialog user, system user, communication user, reference user, and service user here. So what does it mean? What does it mean here, dialog? So dialog user means normally it is used to interactive system access from the maybe humans. Dialog users means I meant say humans. Humans only will log into the SAP system from SAP GUI. They will do the work, right? So humans. We are a humans. We need the access to the SAP system, then password, then log into the SAP system, do the work, right? So that we are the humans here. Then what about the system user? Normally it is used for the background processing and communication within the system. Then we will use the system user. So which means a background jobs. In the background jobs, we should maintain the one system user. So why? Because there is no initial password, just we will set the password, though will be. Service user means, so it's a dialog user, it's like anonymous. Service user means in the service level, we will maintain this users here. There is no initial password for these users, they can log in here. Then communication users, communicating the RFC destination site, RFC external calls, all those things we will use it here. Then reference user, non-person related users here. Non-person means it's not the person, just only some other person related authorization reference. Taking the reference of other user, you can access the some other transaction. Means just only reference, but we cannot log in. Just a reference user here. That's the one here. The most of the useful is the dialog users, which we will create for to logging to the SAP system here, right? So new password set here we are doing here. Then you do the password set, it will ask then if any user groups are available, means this user is from the super user or basis group or test group, whatever, we can assign the groups here, right? Validity and validity time. We don't define, it will be end of the what are here, right? Validity end. So when is going to expire? All those things here. That is the logon data here. Then SNC, it's not required. Defaults, what is the user decimal notification? Means how the user should be like. What is the user logon language? Then what is the date format here? How is the date format should be like this? Someone will like the some different ways. So user can change it. Someone will like the 12 hours format, 24 hours format, whatever it may be. So any output devices, any printers, any times you have to assign, you can assign it. So these all are the common. If you don't assign it, also not a problem. It will take the default. But the roles, The roles are very important here, the role. So what is this user, what is going to perform in the SAP system? So you have the multiple roles are available, you can assign the multiple roles here. Otherwise, so if you don't assign the roles, what will happen? I will tell you, just save it now. Okay. Now, test user you created in the SAP system. User is created here, right? Now, let's log into the system, test user. Then it will ask the password. Then reset the password. Then he is able to log into the SAP system. He is able to log in, but if he use anything, he cannot access. He cannot access any one of the single transaction code. He cannot able to access any transaction code in the SAP system because of he is not authorized. Nothing you assigned for him. No transaction, no roles, nothing you assigned here. Means here role will tell you you are able to connect to the SAP system, but no roles are assigned to you, which means the role will tell you what activities you have to perform within the SAP system. The role will control. Here, nothing is assigned here. Then how can you control, right? We cannot control that one here, right? We cannot control that assignment and everything. We cannot control it here. So that's the thing of the roles concept here, right? Now, we'll go to the roles. Normally, roles creation and everything we have to do it in the PFCG transaction code here. PFCG is the one of the role maintenance transaction code here. Here we can create the single transaction code here, single roles here. Composite means combination of multiple roles are called the so composite roles here. Single role like Z underscore basis. So fresher. Suppose like fresher, you are going to create the role. So then you can just click on the create the role option here, right? So then here you can create the role, right? Just save it here. Then what you are going to assign it to the user here, right? Transactions. What transactions you are going to assign to the this user here? SM50 you want to assign. Then SM51 also you want to assign to the freshers. Then ST22 you want to assign to the freshers. Then so what other transaction? SM21. So here you need to enter the transactions here. You need to enter the transactions here. Not only transactions, you have multiple things. If you want to assign the reports, POE catalogs, groups, BW related anything, queries, info, whatever you want to assign to the system users, then you can assign to this role. So for this role you are creating, you are assigning the transactions. For this transaction also, so then what is the authority level you are providing to the users here? Means what level of access. You go to the, so this will be confusing for you. Don't, maybe if you are confusing, just ignore it. Go to the authorization tab here, right? Change on authorization data here. Because for each transaction codes, whatever we have here, each transaction codes, there is a, so transaction codes, we have the, so authorization objects are there here. Authorization objects are there here. So this authorization objects will, this authorization objects will tell the what transactions. This will come basic level. So just you need to go to the manually and get the authorization object. Sir, here I don't know what is the authorization objects, then how can I know? So to get the authorization objects, then you need to go to the SU22. Here, maintain the authorization of the SU22 or 24. You will get the authorization object related to the transaction code here. If you just go to the SM51, SM50, suppose like SM50, then execute. Then we will see the what is the authorization objects associated with the SM50 here. You can see list of authorization object here. List of authorization objects which we have. So this is the system authorizations here. This is the ALV related background processing, SM61, SM62. We have multiple things. You can see it here. So there are the multiple things are there here. S underscore develop author above workbench, SE61, background processing. You need this one here. So there are the multiple things here. Right? Let's go to this one here. Okay. So to finding out the right level authorization objects here, right level authorization objects here. So you have assigned the, so this basis authorization objects, system authorizations here. So then here, system authorizations, you want to full access, only display access. So then the team will decide here. There is a concept here. Team will decide. So what you want to perform here. Then role will be, profile will be generated. Generate. This part is very critical part actually here. This part is critical part here. Why? Because here, so he had to go to the change and authorization data. So what level of access you are going to assign to the users, right? So then even though role created, for that role you have assigned the transaction. For that transactions, you need full authorization, or you want to assign the, you want to full authorizations, or you want to assign the only display role, or whatever the role you want to assign it, you want to assign it. So here using the SU22 or SU24, we can find out the, so authorization object here based upon the transaction codes here. Suppose example here, we can just list out what are the transaction codes we have. SM21, then one more transaction code SM21, then SM50, right? So SM51, these are the transaction codes here. So you want to know authorization object for these transactions here. Then you will get the list of authorization objects which you are required here. List of authorization objects you will get from the system. So what is the respect to authorization objects and all those things you will get from the system here. That is called the authorization object here. You will get the authorization object here, right? That is the based upon the transaction code, we can get the authorization objects here. So that object, we need to add it manually here. Because here there is a lot of authorization objects. We are not sure what is the for transaction specific here. So that's why we SU22 or SU24, we can find out the respective authorization object. Then we can assign to the users here. So here you created the Z basis fresher. Now go to SU01, you can assign to the user, or here you can assign to the test user. The test user which you created, you can assign to the test user also here. You can assign to the test user also, you can assign it, complete the authorization. It should be green, everything should come into the green status here. You have assigned it to the, so yeah, test user here. This role, fresher role, you have assigned it to the here. Now let's see whether he can able to access anything or not here. So he is the test user, whether he is able to access anything in the system, right? Now he is able to access, right? Right? Test user is able to access now, right? Why? Because we provided the some authorizations here. So let me go to SMLG, but SMLG will give the authorization error. Why? Because SMLG I have not assigned. Only few transaction codes I have assigned here. So few transaction codes I have assigned here. So he is able to access that few transaction codes he is able to access without any issues. So if anything non-related things he is trying to access, it will give the error, SU01 error. You can see who is the user here, test user. So now if you see, if you go to the SU53, no, SU53 also I have not assigned it to him. So that's why everything is giving the error. You are not authorized. Means you are dedicated to use only how many transactions? Only 4 transaction codes only. Work process overview, SM61, ST22, SM21. Only these 4 transaction codes you are trying to use it here. Not more than that here. Why? Because you are restricted. The fresher role is restricted to use only 4 transaction codes. So here You can only access the, not this one. You can only access the this 4 transactions only here. Why? Because here the restricting here restricted access is there. So you cannot do anything in the system. Now you logged into the system. If you are doing something, it will be very dangerous here. So means that's the reason for tracking purpose. So we have enabled the SM19 and SM20. We have enabled the SM19 and SM20. We have enabled the so auditing here, right? Auditing we have enabled here. So then here SM20 we can find out the, we can analyze the audit logs here. What is doing? What exactly is trying to do in our systems. Suppose like test user. So what is trying to do in our system here, right? So all the information will be tracked here. All the information we can track it from here. That is what, yeah, we can do it in the systems here, right? This is the security audit logs. So based on that, we can find out what is going to do in the system. All the information we can take it out here. All the information we can take it out. So this is the SU01 and PFCG role creation, authorization, object checking, all those things here. If you see, so here nothing is there. My checks are fine. If I check the test user, I think it won't display test user. Yeah, test user also it won't display. Yeah. So you can only, we restricted him to access only few. So that's why he is able to access the only few transaction codes in the system. That is the reason here. So this way we can create the users, we can create the roles, we can assign to the user. So based upon the whatever the roles, normally developers, development related transaction codes, basis related transaction codes, security related transaction codes. So based on that, we have to create the few roles for the basis security. Then we have to, the person who is joining newly in the team, they will assign the respective authorizations to the that person can only perform the that's respective. As of now, you guys are using the basis user doing the wider access, right? So that's not the case here. Here you need to create the your own user. You have to create it here. Your own user you may have to create it in the systems here. So that is the one thing we should know here. Okay, that is the one thing. So here once that is completed, we can create the your own user. We can create it. So that is the fine. So now let's that is the one thing. One more thing here, we want to create the mass user. We go to the SU10. SU10 is for the mass user creation here. So bulk users. So that is for only for one user. If you want to create the multiple users here, test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, like that, a number of users we can create it in the gunshot here. Password already there here. Password also it will be created here. Password also it is created here. No changes, no changes. Because it's already there. So SU10 for mass user creations. If you want to lock the users globally, you can just lock it, unlock it, copy, reset. So all those things we can perform it here. Suppose like here, what we can do, user 1, user 2, user 3. Suppose you want to create the bulk users, then click on the create. So then click on the save button, then the users are created here, right? User 2, user 3, the password also created here. The password also created, auto generated. The password also auto generated this password here, right? So these users are created here, right? So users also created here. So like this mass users creation means bulk users creation, we can done it in the SU01, SU10, SU01 single user. So if you want to log the user, so if you just go to the SU01, so test user, just click on the lock symbol, the user is locked here. If you want to unlock, user is locked due to the wrong password, then you can unlock it. If you want to reset the password, then change the password here. You can just change the password of the user here. So if you want to delete the user, you can delete it here. If you want to copy the user with other user, you can copy it here. So I want to same copy of DDIC user, then you can copy the test 10 user, you can copy it. Means same whatever the DDIC user, I want to same kind of copy means you can use the DDIC user, you can use it, you can copy it here, right? That is what we can do it here. Same, whatever the DDIC user having the access, roles, permissions, everything you will get here. Everything you will get from the system here. That is what here. All right. So this is the what this is for the so roles creation here. This is for the roles and roles creation and all those things here. Roles and users creation, authorization objects. So there is a one more transaction code EWZ5. It's locking the all the users here. If you lock the all the users here, see all the users, you lock it here. So all users will be locked here. All your users will be locked here. So just you can unlock it here. Just lock, unlock, then all users will be locked. So users lock and unlock, mass users lock and unlock here. So here we can check the status also here. Suppose basis user. Just click on the display and see whether user is locked, nothing. If it is locked, you will get the locked status here, right? Then Ravi. So just check the status here. Then this user also not locked here. So like this, we can create the bulk users, mass users, we can create in the systems here. Mass users, we can create it in the systems here, like this here. Okay. So this is the users creation, so roles and all those things here. Whenever you create the user, there is a table here, USR02 table. This table will be auto updated. All your user related details are available in the USR02 table here, demo 1 Ravi. So all users are here, it is available here. It will give the clear information, all the information and everything. So there is a one more transaction code for the SUIM. SUIM transaction code here. This is also very important security related transaction code here. We go to the SUIM tab, transaction code. Here we can find out the based upon the user wise user information. When was the by last logon date and password changes here. So when was the user last logon date possible here. So you can get the all the information here. You can see. So Ambika, when was the date of the last login? 2023. Then they are not logging. Aravind. So basis today also we logged in. Right? Is the valid. All are the password is valid. But this user CCCC not in use. Right? CMCADM no. Demo user no. So this CC here some users are not in use. So not in they are not even logging to the SAP system. So then we can delete those users here. We can delete those users, we can delete it here. It's not required in our system here, right? So like this, we can find out some validation. We can find out the when was the with unsuccessful logons. We can filter the data here. Who was the unsuccessful logons? Ravi. When was the last logon? 2803. Then Rafi. Okay. Then users by address data of the users. So what is the address data of the each and every address, company, email ID. So what are the details they have provided, all the address data here. So here SUM will help you to find out the some kind of things here. What are the roles? What are the authorization he is having? What are the transaction code? So how many users having the executable transactions here? What are the Ravi is able to execute anything here, right? Role. So then test user. So all those things we can find out from here, right? Comparison, roles, users comparison here. We can perform the compare of the two users here. So here basis user, then DDIC user. What is the difference between these two users accessibility here? If we execute it here, especially for the authorization perspective, so here you will get the things here. So if you want to delete the user, same, very simple, deletion is very simple. Go to the SU01 here. Right, suppose if you want to delete the my user, then delete it, then user will be deleted here. Ravi user is deleted. Simple. See here, now the difference between the two users is like basis and BDSC, all okay. These all are okay, but somewhat like see different values, different values, different values here. So this one, so you can see the lot of things here. You can see which one is not there, which one is there. So comparisons we can perform in the SUAM transaction codes here, SUAM transaction code here, using the SUAM transactions. So if anyone asks you some reports, transactions, comparison, you can use the SUIM transaction code. Okay, so that is the one. Oh, we have completed downtime also. Okay, so that is the security point of view. This is the one thing we should be know here. So any questions from anyone?
Yeah, Ravi, for Fury, are there like any custom roles that we need to assign, or the roles
Yeah,
that we
custom.
have?
Yeah, custom roles we have to create for the Fury, especially for the Fury. In the security wise, we have the BPC security, HR security, R3 security. There are multiple HR success factors. There are multiple security. For Fury, when you are creating the role for the Fury, definitely based upon the roles. So based upon the suppose like we want to access the my inbox tile, my inbox Fury tile. Just click on the create. Then based upon the so my inbox, and so my based upon the Fury catalog and group, we have to create the separate roles here. Means tile wise, we have to create the role. Or two tiles we can merge into the here also we can merge it here. So based upon the tile, based upon the Fury tile, we can create the custom roles. Or we can also use the standard one. But some so standard role, if you assign it, multiple tiles, multiple features you will get standard. But if you don't want to assign the standard one, if you want to customize it for every tile, you need a individual role means you can just create the so custom role, we can assign it.
Right, so if a user wants to use GUI and both Fury, so he will have like separate roles based on Fury and SAP GUI, right?
Yeah, that's the depends upon the security will decide. So means one role we can create, we can assign the GUI related transactions and the Fury tiles related things we can assign it. So one role dedicated for the Fury, one role dedicated for the so security we can assign it. Suppose like Fury, Fury. So here what we can do, I can assign the I can assign the transactions here, like some suppose like so VL02, some sales related, MyGo, some goods movement related transactions, as well as I can also assign the Fury catalog as the same. I'm trying to assign the Fury role also. I'm trying to assign to the users here. This is kind of Fury security. We can also assign the Fury means one role. Yeah, either you can assign that multiple things you can assign it. So roles, reports, transactions, tables, Fury. So whatever it may be, you can assign to the users here. You can assign to the users here. Now see Fury catalog. I'm assigning to the users here. All right. Fury catalog. I'm assigning to the users here. So Z underscore basis moment. There is a Fury catalog, monitoring related catalog. Then group also I can assign it. I can also create the BW related authorization reports, reports related. I can also assign the RSBTC Dell report. I can also assign to the user. Example I'm giving. So like this, we can create it. Like this, we can create the so then we can save it here. So not only did one role for dedicated one, it depends how we want to go for the in the catalog. That's why as soon as you build the system, whenever you hand over, we need to inform to the security. Then security will decide how they want to proceed, how they want to create. So here we have the streams like HR, basis team. So many teams are there. One role for all the basis team members. Maybe if you create the one role for all basis team members in the basis, also we have the freshers. So we should not allow them to use the wider access. Then in that case, one more role. Like that, they will decide it. They will think internally, they will decide it here, security policies.
Does this come by default in a vanilla installation, or do you need to install a Fury component on top of NetWeaver?
We have to install on top of, by default, you won't get, we need to install it. Manually, we need
Uh,
to install it.